fantastic story today. Come on up here and have a seat. Amen. Come on around. We've been talking about the creation of the heavens and the earth. We've been talking about the creation of man and the animals, and God put man in the garden to oversee the animals, and then he made Eve. He made man a helpmate. And last week we saw the downfall of man, the breaking of the redemptive process between God and man when man sinned. And then man was put out of the garden, and things began to go similar to what it is now. And so Adam and Eve had two sons. One was named Cain and one was named Abel. Cain was the older one, and Cain was a farmer. He plowed and he grew stuff out in the field, and Abel was a shepherd. Abel tended the flocks and tended the sheep and the cattle and things that they had. So they began to worship God, and there's a need, because we're made in the likeness and image of God, there's a need and a desire to worship. You can't get away from it. People try to run that don't worship, and they get into drugs, they get into alcohol, they get into trouble. They run into that because we have a desire to worship. So Cain and Abel built an altar, and Cain took the fruits of his labor. He took the corn and he took the wheat and things and laid it on the altar, and God was displeased with that. The only thing that covers up for sin is a blood offering. And Abel brought one of his lambs, something that he tended to, but God had to raise it. God produced it. And he sacrificed that lamb on the altar, and God was pleased with Abel's offering, and he rejected Cain's offering. Cain got mad. Instead of getting himself right, instead of saying, well, God, I'm sorry, let me get something from my brother, let me make a blood sacrifice, he got mad. And his brother was there tending the sheep, and Cain came up and picked up a rock and beat him in the head and killed him. Dug a hole and buried him. Well, nobody saw me do it. But you know what? It doesn't matter if anybody else catches it. Who always sees what we're doing? God. That's right. God always sees. And God came and said, Cain, where's Abel? What Abel said, oh, Abel didn't even fess up, continues to lie. Sin will take you down a road of lying and destruction. And Cain said, well, am I my brother's keeper? God said, you've killed your brother. I hear his blood crying from the ground. So a curse was put on Cain, and he was driven out away from the other people, and Cain began to cry. Once the judgment was passed on him, then he began to cry and he began to moan. Oh, it's too great. So we don't know what the mark was, but the scripture says that God put his mark on Cain so that when people saw him, they'd not try to kill him for killing his brother, but they would know that he was under God's protection. And it said Cain went out into the land of Nod, which is a land of wandering, which means he was nomadic. He didn't get any place to stop. Sin always takes you further than you want to go, keeps you longer than you want to stay, and it costs you more than you're willing to pay. Let's have a treat. Let's stand and meet and greet.